Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Attorney John Deaton has ripped into SEC Supreme Leader and Dictator Kim Gensler for his and his agency's approach to the outright Ponzi fraud that is FTX, as well as the butt nugget with a fro SBF. I'm going to share with you what he has to say, and all sorts of people, rightfully so, have been notably harsh towards Gary Gensler and the SEC. And, this is something that has become a bipartisan refrain. And I'm not going to get into the politics of it on this channel. I do my best to stay away from anything political unless it directly has to do with finance or crypto or something I'm talking about, and then, okay, fine. But I'll just tell you this. Whether you're on the left or the right politically in the United States, I'm seeing that, with rare exception, everybody's coming down on SBF at this point. Not literally everybody, fine, but we are seeing this, and the harsh language is obviously well warranted. And you also have this critique. There's an article that's on the screen right here from the Crypto Basic titled, Ripple General Counsel, SEC finally admits FTX customers' assets were used to bail out BlockFi. Exactly. So what the hell were you doing this whole time, SEC? And why is it taking you so long to respond with this type of... We'll get into it. Before going further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so to set the table, you need to be aware of this. There's this tweet that came out 2 days ago from the official SEC Twitter account, and the official SEC Twitter account wrote the following. The SEC today charged Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang for their roles in a multi-year scheme to defraud equity investors in the crypto trading platform FTX. Ellison and Wang are cooperating with their ongoing investigation. So I'll note that Caroline Ellison was the CEO of Alameda Research, which was almost entirely owned by SBF. So you could call it a sister company or a subsidiary, whatever you want to call it. It's under the same umbrella. It's the same damn thing. So Caroline Ellison was running that. Gary Wang is a co-founder of FTX. And by the way, I'll mention this too. There's going to be some additional charges coming. I've got something from Eleanor Terrett I'll share towards the end of this video. But Eleanor Terrett, of course, a journalist with Fox Business Network. There are going to be some additional charges towards other people coming here. Now, Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang, they have, it looks like, based on all accounts I've seen anyway, they have been absolutely ratting everything out regarding, SBF's approach to, perpetrating this fraud against all of the customers of FTX. So they've ganged up against them, and it looks like they're kind of getting sweetheart deals as a result. That they each may only end up in jail 3 to 6 years, what a lot of people are saying. Whereas SBF, there's a possibility that he could have life in prison, and maybe it'll just end up being X number of decades, whatever that would be. But some people think that there's a real strong possibility SBF actually could be in prison for the rest of his life, and I wouldn't mind that one bit. But it's just so fascinating that the SEC, we can all applaud it when they actually do good things. Like, I hate them so much, but if they do something good, I'm still going to just acknowledge that reality is reality. So they should and are going after this, but I'm still not happy because this was right under Gary Gensler's nose. If he weren't so damn busy paying attention to Kim Kardashian and suing her and, and attacking Ripple and actual legitimate businesses and entrepreneurs, maybe you could have caught the damn outright scam, which was right under your freaking nose, Kim Gensler. So it still burns my biscuits that this is going on. But yes, the fact that they're going after the actual bad actors, we can all get behind that. But man, there are still critiques here. And well-deserved, including specific comments from Gary Gensler, because Gary Gensler retweeted that himself 2 days ago, and he said, until crypto platforms comply with time-tested securities laws, risks to investors will persist. It remains a priority of the SEC to use all of our available tools to bring the industry into compliance. And Attorney Deaton, he responded here, and then he also expanded upon this in a separate thread, which I'm going to share. But let me share with you the response directly to this by Attorney John Deaton. He said, 1 year ago, you wouldn't meet with Brian Armstrong and Coinbase, but chose instead to threaten to sue. 95% of crypto companies were established outside of the U.S. because you refused to give guidance. You are the #1 threat to U.S. investors. Spot on, Attorney Deaton. And then Yesterday, Attorney Deaton shared the following exactly on this. He retweeted that from Kim Gensler, and he said, "What tools in the toolbox have you utilized other than enforcement?" Because again, just to remind you, Gary Gensler stated here, that it's on your screen. SEC will use all available tools to bring the industry into compliance. All available tools. So Attorney Deaton says, what tools in the toolbox have you utilized other than enforcement? You're a one-trick pony, and you had backdoor meetings with the #1 fraudster in crypto while you punished good actors. Who has Gensler protected? Let's quickly review. Who did he protect from the BlockFi settlement? So I'll pause and note, just in case everybody's not caught up to speed, BlockFi is a firm that offered interest-bearing accounts in your crypto. So basically, you hand the keys of your crypto over to BlockFi, and then they invest however they invested. And, so BlockFi, they ended up getting sued into oblivion, with the $100 million fine, which they didn't have, by the way. When this news was breaking, I was covering it at the time, and I was like, well, I don't have internal information about their treasuries. Do they have the money? Do they not? They did not. And that led to them getting bailed out. As an Attorney Deaton kind of goes through this, but I just want to make sure that you know what we're talking about here. BlockFi, the reason that they're now filing for bankruptcy, in no small part, is specifically because the SEC attacked them, which made them effectively insolvent, right? They didn't have money here. And so they were getting bailed out by what turned out, and they didn't know it, but turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. So BlockFi is a victim in that sense, although it does make me question the degree to which they engaged in due diligence, is what it is. But anyway, Attorney Deaton says, who did he protect from the BlockFi settlement? Considering the SEC is the #2 largest creditor in the BlockFi bankruptcy, it certainly isn't BlockFi customers. Who did he protect from pushing the Ripple XRP case? 75,000 XRP holders want to be heard, and he fought them. Who did Gary Gensler protect by bringing the library case? The SEC has conceded that people like Naomi Brockwell are users of the platform and did not acquire LBC for investment, but the SEC refuses to clarify that those innocent users are not holding an unregistered security. And so I'll just pause and note, Naomi Brockwell, who is a content creator in the world of crypto, she was the one that Attorney Deaton and Attorney Gannon filed an amicus brief on behalf of. It was on her behalf in the library case. And they're not the remedies portion, because the library lost the case a little over a month ago against the SEC. And so now we're at the remedies portion, and Naomi Brockwell is like, so I've never bought LBC. I've also never sold it. What the hell is my LBC? Well, seriously, classify this. Is she part of what would be unregistered securities transactions? And the SEC obviously just refuses to clarify. And so Attorney Deaton is asking, who are you protecting here? It's another instance of no protection. And then Attorney Deaton says, who did Gensler protect from Kim Kardashian? And so let's pause note, I think y'all know, but Kim Kardashian promoted a coin. I think it was called Ethereum Max, if I'm not mistaken, but I am pulling from memory here. And she may have been paid like $250,000. Well, she ended up getting fined something like $1.25 million, somewhere in that neighborhood anyway, after the SEC was finished dealing with her. And it's not like she was pretending that this is just an organic comment. In that tweet where she was promoting that coin, which was probably just a crap coin and kind of silly to promote it, but still she did it. She wrote that it was an advertisement in that tweet, and Gensler still went after her. But couldn't catch SBF, the little butt nugget with the fro, and his fraudulent Ponzi scheme, even though literally meeting in person with the guy. So Attorney Deaton says, who did Gensler protect from Kim Kardashian? Nothing has changed since BlockFi or Kim Kardashian settled. Who is he protecting from suing Dragon Chain, which sold a software micro-license governed by the Ethereum blockchain, which the SEC said was sufficiently decentralized in 2018? We can only identify one group of people the SEC has attempted to protect. They brought a case against FTX and SBF on behalf of a couple dozen wealthy venture capitalists. Gary Gensler and the SEC do not even pretend to care about the retail investor. Exactly. So, like I was saying at the outset of the video, happy to see that they are going after them. But if you look at what has led to this, as well as the motivating factors, there's a ton to be dissatisfied and disgusted with, frankly. I still think the SEC, the agency as a whole, is outright evil. And then you have this from the Crypto Basic. Ripple General Counsel. SEC finally admits FTX customers' assets were used to bail out BlockFi. And I don't want to read the article. I'm just going to go to the source and say a couple things about this. So there is a screen grab from this SEC brief that was filed. And I'm going to cover that. It's on your screen right now. But let me share with you what Stuart Alderati had to say about this portion of the brief first. And Stuart Alderati is Ripple's, again, general counsel, which means he's their top in-house lawyer. Stuart Alderati said, quote, "The SEC admits that FTX customer assets were used to bail out BlockFi. Were those customer assets funneled to the SEC to make payments on the $100 million SEC/BlockFi settlement? Did the SEC bother to conduct any due diligence on the source of those funds?" End quote. And excellent questions. Because again, like I said earlier in the video, $100 million fine for BlockFi for securities violations. That's what the agreement ended up coming to. Doesn't mean BlockFi had that, but that's what they had to pay, which is what ultimately led to their downfall in no small part. Even though, again, you can argue they should have engaged in better due diligence, this or that, but setting that aside, still, the SEC was willing to take this money. Did they verify the source? Did they even care? Because last I saw, before BlockFi went bankrupt, the SEC had been paid $70 million out of the $100 million. So don't you think that given that we know BlockFi had a credit line set up with FTX after that deal went down, don't you think that the $70 million that was paid, since clearly BlockFi didn't have it or they would have just paid it themselves, don't you think that came from FTX since they had just developed a credit line, which means it was paid for with customer funds? Well, yes, obviously. And we can see that here. But SEC, why'd you take the damn money without confirming where it was coming from? Because if you did any due diligence, you would have figured this out. And you would have found out that FTX was an outright Ponzi like half a year sooner than it happened, or whatever the timeline was. Probably something like that. It was like early in summer anyway. Maybe it was June, whatever. Get the cut of my jib, though. And so from the SEC, the brief that's on your screen reads as follows. Despite the precarious financial position of FTX and Alameda, Bankman-Fried and Allison continued to use FTX customer assets in the summer of 2022, including to rescue distressed crypto firms and to further mislead investors. So there you go. They're reporting that those funds, and they didn't cite BlockFi specifically there, but we know what they did later. It's on your screen there. But think about this. They're acknowledging this, but they know they took the money. Obviously, they know they took the money. They're sitting on a fat $70 million, at least. And then they wrote, in May 2022, the crypto markets plummeted due to a significant loss in value of certain crypto assets and networks and the collateral effects of the interrelated markets. Bankman-Fried characterized FTX and himself as playing an important role in stabilizing the industry. Bankman-Fried entered into a series of transactions with other members of the industry, providing credit to and taking over other failing firms. On or about June 21st, 2022, after giving a $250 million line of revolving credit to BlockFi, a global crypto financial services company, to provide the company with access to capital to ease liquidity concerns, Bankman-Fried tweeted, quote, "We take our duty seriously to protect the digital asset ecosystem and its customers," end quote. Yeah, all while, of course, using customer funds. The SEC is absolutely awful. What a terrible government agency. Absolutely disgusting. Now, there's going to be more actors in all of this, getting hit with the book. It's going to be coming to light soon. Here's a tweet from Eleanor Terrett, who is a Fox Business journalist, and just this afternoon, she tweeted out the following just a few hours ago. She said, "Scoop, the Southern District of New York is getting ready to announce more indictments against players with ties to FTX/Alameda. I'm told an announcement could be made as soon as Monday." Well, good, bring it. Absolutely. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.